since this is one of our webinars. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining today. It's a good turnout. I'm going to talk a little bit and then we'll have time for some questions. So we did call this one a webinar today, and the topic is post November 15th, what's going to happen next. So I'm going to go through what our plans are and then we can discuss. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope everyone had a good one and that it went well and everybody got to spend time with their families and was safe. So thanks for joining us on this Monday morning after the long holiday weekend. Just off the bat, I would like to update folks on our staffing at the Department of Agriculture here in the Soil Health Program. We have hired a new person to work as the Western Colorado Soil Health Coordinator. His name is John Rizza. He was a CSU extension agent in Western Colorado for quite a while, and he has a very diverse background in ag, soil health, and forestry also. So we will welcome him on board on the 4th of December. So that will be exciting. Our Eastern coordinator, I will wait a little while to make an announcement on that person, but that person will be joining us in January. Our technician, on the ground technician positions, soil health technicians, and our program assistant position should be running toward the middle or end of December. So if you know anyone interested in those positions, please keep an eye out on the state jobs listing website. So with that said, on the 4th, we will have no office hours and no webinar because it is the CACD annual meeting. So hopefully folks will be at that meeting and maybe I'll see some of you there. So again, on the 4th, there will be no meeting here, no Zoom meeting for us. So we'll turn to enrollment now. As I said, our enrollment deadline, which was a pretty soft deadline, occurred on November 15th. We are sorting through all of the enrollment applications we got from people. So you will be hearing from us about those applications. If we have questions or need further information or that type of thing, you'll be hearing from us in the coming weeks. It's probably going to take us a little bit of time to sort through all of those, as there are quite a few, as you might imagine, but you'll be hearing from us. If you have open spaces and we're unable to fill them, we would like you to continue attempting to recruit people. If there is something that we can do at the CDA to assist with your recruitment, or if you need any kind of, if you have any questions you need asked around that recruitment, or if there's some you would like us to speak to potentially interested people, if there's anything we can do to help you get more folks into those open positions, please reach out to us at the CDA_soil email address and let us know that you would like some help, and we will contact you and see what we can do to assist you. If you have filled all of your spots, which a large group of folks have, and you've indicated that you would like capacity support. So we asked last fall if you'd like capacity support in 2023, and you filled all your spots, then we will be sending you automated capacity payments here in the next couple of weeks. So be watching out for that. If you have filled all your spots and you did not indicate whether you wanted capacity support in 2023 or 2024, so some folks just did not answer that email. If that is you and you do want to be paid and you filled your positions, please reach out to us and let us know that you would like to be paid for your initial capacity payment. If you have not filled all of your spots, and you would like capacity payment in 2023, please contact the CDA_soils email and let us know, and we will get back to you We obviously want to try to get as many folks as we can into those positions, into those spots as we can. And we're trying to identify areas where we have problems or where we might need to even do contract modifications and move positions, open spots to other areas, or how we're going to handle this. So we're trying to figure all that out. So if you would like to be paid a capacity payment and you did not fill all 10 spots, please email and let us know that you're interested in that payment, and we will work with you and discuss it. So we would like, so I guess the point I'm trying to stress is at the moment, recruitment is still high on your priority list if you did not fill all 10 spots. That's what we'd like you to be focusing on. We understand if you need some funds, so again, reach out, but recruitment should be high on your priority list, and any help we can provide with that recruitment, we are ready and willing. So reach out to us and let us know how we can support you. Equipment grants, if you are ready to utilize equipment grants, your equipment grant funds, then again, reach out to the CDA underscore email, CDA underscore SCOIL email, and let us know that you are intending to utilize your equipment grant funds, and we will get back to you about that. If you are far enough along or not far enough along to be interested in using equipment grant funds, we will be holding a webinar, which I'll talk about that in a little while, around those equipment grant funds. But for right now, if you are raring to go, which I know there are a few groups that are, let us reach out, let us know what equipment it is you intend to purchase and what your timeframes are looking like for that purchase. Technical assistance providers. So we, at the moment, of course, we are wanting to bridge the connection between you folks and technical assistance providers that are out there. Please reach out to them if you have not already. I think I would like to try to get, there's a lot of folks joining us today. I would like to try to get some feedback on how well your communications with the technical assistance providers are going, and how many of you have reached out to them and are working with them or have intention to reach out to them. So you will probably be receiving a free feedback survey from us in the next few weeks. RE, the technical assistance provider system. So we want to know, are you working with them? Have you reached out to them? Are there communication issues? Are things going swimmingly? So there'll be it'll be a short survey, won't take you very long, a Google survey that we'll ask you to fill out so we can see exactly how that technical assistance provider interaction is going, and make adjustments, or again, assist you folks, support you if we need to. So that kind of brings me to the end of my spiel here. Upcoming webinars, and there is a lot of them. There may be another webinar before Christmas, before the holiday season. So stay tuned for that. We'll see if we pull one off in time. And if we do, it will be a practice-based webinar around prescribed grazing and virtual fencing. So I'll be updating you all on that. But that'll be our next one, most likely. We will have probably in January, beginning in the new year, we will have a CPA 52 webinar. So for folks who had producers who chose non-exempt practices and will have to go through the CPA 52 process, we will hold a webinar around the CPA 52 process and how that's going to look, and what potentially what type of support we will need from you folks for us to complete those CPA 52s and get them submitted. Then we will have a soil sampling protocols webinar. This will be around, so currently we are out to bid, or just about to go out to bid, for a soils company to do all of our sampling, laboratory. So once we get those folks chosen and on board, we will have a sampling protocol webinar where we would discuss what the protocols will be around taking the soil samples and give you some pointers and some documentation on how to get out there and take those samples and how we want that process to look, and then how you will be submitting those samples to the laboratory. We will also be doing a soil moisture monitoring webinar, which will look at the soil moisture monitoring systems, which we'll be deploying starting probably the beginning of March and through July around the state to all of the enrolled participants. So we'll be going through that process, how it looks to get those installed, and what kind of support we'll need from you folks to get those out there on the ground. We will be having a webinar on STAR field evaluation forms. So once we get into April, we will all the enrolled participants will fill out a STAR field evaluation. You will have from April, I believe our timeframes in the grant are through the summer to fill those out, but we're going to go over what those are, what they mean to you, and what they mean to the producers, and how you can support them as they fill those out, and what to do should you encounter any problems while filling those out. There is a very good chance we will have some of them, at least some of those evaluations available on our new web app by that point. That's what our hope is. And so we will give you an overview of how that web app looks and how the field evaluation process will work. I said we will have a webinar about equipment grants. So as we come into the spring, those of you who are not already far ahead and ready to use that equipment grant funding, we will hold a webinar around the equipment grants and talk about acceptable purchases, things people have purchased in the past, and some of the neat proposals we have had for equipment grant purchases, such as compost extractors. Biochar kiln was the one that's been requested or proposed here recently, which would be real neat for producers in your area. No-till drills, things like that. So we'll have a webinar specifically around that. And then since we had we will have a webinar on soil moisture monitoring and soil sampling. We will have a soil test results interpretation webinar where we go through what the results will look like when you receive them from the laboratory and what that means to your producer. And hopefully we can get someone from that laboratory to come talk to us about that, about the test results. And we will have a soil moisture monitoring system result interpretation. So what are the producers going to see when they pull up the app for the soil moisture monitoring systems, and then what will those what will the data they're collecting there mean to them, and how can they utilize that data in their operation? So we want that to be meaningful data and not just something they're receiving. So this is a very ambitious list. We will start probably doing one again every other week through the spring. And if you have ideas for ones that I have not covered or things you'd like to have covered here, please reach out to us and let us know, and we will make sure to get them covered. So I think that brings me to the end of my webinar, my extensive webinar list. And I would like to see what folks have, what kind of questions people have, and if there's anything that we're running into. And I see Clinton Wilson has his hand raised. So why don't you go ahead, Clinton?
Great, thanks, John. And I might be the only one since I came to this conversation a little bit late, but I have like 3 invites each or every other Monday, and I don't know which one to click on, like which one's the most current one. And so I've showed up at like a Google Meets and a other meeting that wasn't the real thing. Is there any way on you guys in that you could go back and cancel all those initial ones, or is that me that needs to go in and delete them all? Do you know?
Is this a common problem that folks are having?
Nobody else has it?
I had that issue today.
I had it last week.
Okay. I would say what we could do, we could delete them all from our end, and then you could delete them and make sure they're deleted on your end, and we could re-invite everybody and see if we can get one
It's
invitation.
possible, John, it's possible that Clinton could have gotten the same invite a couple of times because we changed the topic of the meeting for today. So it was all the same link, except went out several times. Is that what you think you got?
Okay.
Okay, so
I'm
that's
happy
it.
for it to be that way. Yeah, I just know that there
Okay.
was Zoom and Google Meets on a couple different times, and I logged into one and nobody ever showed up. So I was just wondering if there was a way you could delete the other ones, but I
Okay,
can go.
I'll go back and double check too to make sure that the Google Meets aren't on the Zoom. So
Right on.
I'll cross-reference them and make
Thanks a
sure.
lot. And
And
then
I did notice that your every 2 weeks included a meeting on December 25th.
yes, this is part of the problem with the invites every 2 weeks is that they fall on holidays very often. We might just need to send like an independent invite to each single meeting. It might be the easiest way to do it. And then we can change the names of the meetings without you guys seeing a lot of stuff on your end too. We'll look into that on our end. There will not be one on December 25th. uh, I would also just like to point out here while we're talking about the meetings, they will always have a Zoom link. The Google Meets is just something that's there. Many people don't use Google Meet, so it'll always be on a Zoom link. So don't join a Google meeting if there's one in the invite. I do have a question over here from Madeline. I got in here a little late. Can you please review what the next steps are for late enrollment? Is there a final deadline now for submitting the paperwork? There is no final deadline. But as I said, if you have not enrolled all of your folks or are missing all of your folks, which might be the case in a few spots, you have time to do that, and you should right now be focusing on recruitment and getting those positions filled. If there is something we can do from the CDA to help you with that, or you need some kind of support from us, reach out and let us know, and we will do what we can to help. So I know I am doing a couple we have done a couple talks at different board meetings. I'm doing some coming up. We have done some virtual talks, so we'll work with you however we can to reach out to people. If you need help recruiting, just let us know. We can't do it if we don't know. I did make a final statement on matching funds for adding livestock as a qualified expense, and we have decided no, we will not allow livestock purchases as reimbursable funds. There were areas where this was a very cut and dry situation, and it would have been easy for us to do, and areas where it would have been very complex, and so it could have opened up a number of problems that we would have had to deal with. If the property is in multiple names, do all the names listed have to fill out the 4 FSA forms? Reagan, you might, that might be a good question for the FSA, but I think the way they typically would handle that is they need one specific person's name. So often people will form like an LLC or something and have one person denoted as their point of contact. It might not even need to be that formal. It might just be one person has to be the one that fills out the paperwork. But there might be ways for multiple people to split up that paperwork. I'm not sure. That would be a good question for the FSA and not for me. All right. Do we have any other questions?
John, I was going to try and type this one, but I think you've explained it before, but can you differentiate if somebody's wanting reimbursement for fencing for managed grazing, what does qualify and what doesn't qualify under reimbursable expenses? I was trying to talk through that with a producer this past week, and I got myself confused trying to explain it.
Yeah, so if you choose the prescribed grazing practice, which is in CPA 52 exempt practice, that practice can include costs associated with virtual fencing, first of all. So you'd think virtual fencing might be in the fencing category, but fencing is a ground disturbing category and is non-exempt. Virtual fencing is not, and so it is exempt. So it can so costs associated with for virtual fencing can go under prescribed grazing. Other costs associated or other costs you can claim under prescribed grazing are the time that it takes to do any movement of the animals, costs associated with developing a grazing management plan, costs associated with developing a drought management plan, mileage, any mileage associated with it, supplemental feed that would be associated with it, time that it takes to water the animals, but not the water system, no physical irrigation or watering infrastructure. And again, no costs associated with fencing. That would be the fencing category, which is the non-exempt category. So if they're using fencing to like movable fencing or installing their own fencing, that's fine, but those costs cannot come back to us for reimbursement. Does that make sense?
Yeah, if they already have the infrastructure in place and they were just wanting to get new hot wire to move the people, but they already have the permanent like fences there, they just needed new hot wire, would that still fall under fencing?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay, that's fine. That was
temporary fencing is still under the fencing category, and
but their labor for moving the animals is a reimbursable based on that custom labor chart.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
That's super helpful. You answered exactly what I couldn't answer. Thanks.
Also worth pointing out right now that under all the practices, if people take classes related to that practice, education expenses can be claimed. Also, if people, and that includes like if they have to drive to the class, we'll reimburse the mileage for them attending the class. And so any class related to that specific practice and classes relating to soil health in general can be claimed as reimbursable expense.
Along with soil health type conventions?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I have a question. It's probably been answered a million times and I've missed it. I know that we're looking for people to have 66 acres enrolled in this program per producer, correct? That was our.
Yeah, so we're aiming for an average. So if you have people that are very low and people that are higher, they'll even out.
So let's say somebody had a 50 acre that they want to enroll, and then somebody has an 82 acre, making up for the other two, the other person didn't have.
Yep.
Are they capped at the 5,000, or will they get paid for everything that they put into it?
They are capped at 5,000 per year.
Okay, that's all. So if somebody had decided, okay, we can put this 82 acre in, really, they're just going to get reimbursed for 66 acres of stuff.
This is correct. Yep. But they might find it easier to reach their one-to-one match if they go with that larger acreage. So depending on their practice, it may be very easy to spend $10,000 to get $5,000 reimbursed. But some practices it might not be. So if they have that larger chunk, it would be easier. It would be easier for them to reach that match. Does that make sense?
Hey, John, I got another question. I don't know what the best way to reach out to folks. I've had two farmers here in northern Colorado because we have people all over the state, but two in northern Colorado that are looking for a no-till drill that they could move to their farm from someplace. And I didn't know the best way to check in with the organizations that are in this program who might have a movable, like down the highway type no-till drill. What's the best way for me to reach out to folks to find that out?
I would start there, Clinton, by reaching out to your local conservation districts that are in your area or around your area. They might have a lead on that. If you can't find one, email us and we'll see if we can help as well.
Thank you.
Yep. I'm depending on where you're at in northern Colorado there. I know there are some conservation districts up there with no-till drills, or they would at least know folks that have them. But I think there are a few up in a couple of the northern areas of the state that I can think of that have some.
Yeah, this was Berthoud and Wellington areas.
Okay. Yeah, you probably, I would reach out to those, to your conservation districts. It'd be a good spot. There are also a number of implement dealers. I know Philip Frank, who was here as our speaker, they rent them. They're quite away from Berthoud, but you might reach out to a few of the other implement dealers. Might rent them in your implement dealers in your area. Might rent them as well. I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah, I talked to Philip and he said I could come out there and get it out
That's
where
quite
he's at, but it was going to be quite a haul and rather
quite a haul.
expensive on a daily rental.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. It's quiet. It's the calm before the storm. Maybe any other questions anybody can think of? If not, we'll go ahead and give everyone back some time today. Again, we have a lot of webinars coming up that are going to be very informative, and we'll get a tentative schedule out to you folks here, probably at the beginning of the new year, with when those different webinars are going to be happening, and that way you can prepare. They're going to be important. We will record them and post them to our YouTube channel. So if you can't make it, that's fine. But I think many of the questions we receive in our email box, a lot of those questions will be things that we'll address in those webinars. So stay tuned. More information will be coming your way. As I said, I can't stress this enough. If you didn't fill all your spots, focus on recruitment. Reach out to us if there is something we can do to help. We can't help if we don't know it's needed. We're glad to help if we can. So let us know, and we will get back to you and see what we can do. Other than that, thank you all for your time today. We'll go one more second here. If there's any other questions, folks can shout them out.
I got a real quick question.
Uh-huh.
Could we start a list of folks who could take more applicants? We maxed out our 10 and have had folks calling wanting to participate.
If you could take more applicants, let us know, because there is absolutely potential opportunity of folks not filling all their positions, and we still have to decide how we're going to deal with that. But if you have more interested applicants than you have spots, then drop us a line and let us know that, so that we can prepare for that and plan as we're figuring out what we're going to do next.
Perfect. Thank you, John.
You bet. I will put the full soils email address in the chat. That is the best way to reach us. feel free to email there about technical assistance provider questions as well. If you don't know who to get a hold of, and we can help you to get in touch with the folks you should be in touch with. And like I said, I think we're definitely going to put together a questionnaire on the technical assistance providers survey and send it out to all of you. So be looking out for that, so we can see where we're at in that process and see how things are going. Other than that, if there are no more questions here, we'll wait one more second. Great.
Okay. I have a question. Is there somebody on here that is from FSA?
I would guess not, but I'll wait and see.
Because that is the biggest hurdle in this whole process is FSA.
Yes.
So, do we have an FSA webinar or something that I missed? Because it's so technical. This stuff is so technical for someone who's worked for 7 years with NRCS. I didn't have an idea really of what we were dealing with these practices and with the FSA. And it's been very difficult. And so my question is, if I have a new FSA application, how long will it take for them to get a farm number? And because they can't do the enrollment till they have that.
Well, that's probably going to be on a county by county basis, but the counties I have worked in and I'm familiar with, it's usually very quick. So they need to go in there and meet with their FSA representative. And I personally have went through the FSA process before, and it took very little time. I mean, maybe an hour of my time to establish the farm records and get the farm and tract number. And they were very helpful and walk you through the process.
I'm also having difficulties with some of these ranchers. Well, they live very far away from the closest FSA. They don't want to just go drive 3 hours to get to a 1 hour meeting, you know, so I'm getting those done by email, but I just didn't know the turnaround. So that was kind of my fear, that it might take till January to get the farm number. And by then we've missed the hard deadline.
There's no hard deadline yet. When there becomes one, I will let you know, but right now there is none. So don't worry about that. Just keep plugging away at it. I would say, I don't know how long the email process takes, but again, typically they move pretty fast. The ones I've worked with, and I know the FSA process is definitely probably our largest sticking point for what's happening right now. But that said, there's a lot of folks who have turned in their subsidiary prints to us, a lot of them. So it's working out there.
Don't want to fill out government paperwork, and it's very difficult to change their minds.
Unfortunately, this round of funding this year here in 2023 is funded by federal grants, and they have to do the FSA paperwork. I get that they don't want to fill it out, but unfortunately that it has to happen for this particular program right now where we're at. I would say, you know, our hope is to have non-federal funds in the future, but we did get a big slug of them recently, and that's what's happening at the moment. It's the game we're playing. But perhaps future iterations of this will not be like that. All right. Any more questions? Great. Please let us know if you're running into problems. Let us know if there's something we can do to help, and we will get back to you. And as I said, on the 4th, there will be no office hours or webinar due to the CACD meeting. And then you'll hear from us, and we'll try to see if we can clean up our invitations, because they're kind of wild. Maybe we'll just, like I said, maybe we'll just do them on a per week basis or something. to prevent them hitting on holidays, and so we can change the names for the webinars and things like that. But awesome. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, John.
Yep. Have a great day, everybody.